What's in the news today? Aha!
Oh my god!
Destiny 2. Turning off some certain things because of microtransactions. Isn't that interesting? Only yesterday, guys, we delivered some wonderful news about...
Try not to laugh in your like little setup moment.
Is that not working?
No,
No.
it's totally working. Sorry, Sam.
Sorry, well,
After I so rudely interrupted you when you were doing your best acting.
Incredible.
So, what's the deal? What's happening?
Okay, guys, so as you guys probably have seen in the news, Destiny 2 has changed a few things quite suddenly. It came originally from a Reddit post that was calculating ultimately how your XP is gained in Destiny 2 in certain areas. Now that's obviously spread like wildfire in the last 10 or 12 hours. And Destiny and Bungie has come back very quickly with some changes that they're going to make in the game. And I wonder, Ralph, if it has something to do with some recent problems that another publisher has had.
Perhaps. Well, the detail, if you missed the previous video, was that in Destiny, there's no cap on the XP that you earn, but when you do certain activities, like especially activities that give you lots of XP really fast, then the game would actually throttle back your XP gain to as little as 5% of what you should be earning. Now, this is a problem because the XP system is directly tied to the monetization system. XP unlocks cosmetics, which can also be purchased.
Yeah.
So the suggestion was that perhaps Bungie were throttling your XP gains to stop you from getting too many of the cosmetics that you should otherwise be paying for from their bright engram loot boxes.
And yesterday we had we were giving them the benefit of the doubt a little bit. I knew kind of like, no, there's no way, right? But I did have a little tiny bit of me saying maybe it was just a bug, and you felt like it was maybe just a bug.
Yeah, but I still don't think this is as sinister as you think.
I'm not saying it's sinister.
You want this, don't you?
I'm just saying we know now that it was not a bug, and the actual wording of this, I think, clearly states that.
Yeah, so Bungie issued a statement today, which I'll read out in full. It says, after reviewing our data, we agree that the system is not performing the way we'd like it to. Currently, XP will scale up when you're playing longer or fixed duration activities like Crucible, competitive multiplayer matches, and the Leviathan raid. And XP will scale down when playing activities that can be quickly, repeatedly chained, like grinding public events. We're not happy with the results, and we've heard the same from the community. Effective immediately, we are deactivating the system. As a result, players will see XP earn rates change for all activities across the board, but with all values being displayed consistently in the user interface. It was not a bug. We originally thought maybe this is just a bug. Turns out that this was absolutely not a bug. It was definitely Bungie's intention to throttle XP.
And I would have made millions if it hadn't been for you meddling kids.
But also at the same time to increase it in certain circumstances. We cannot ignore the fact that when they talk about PvP and the Leviathan raid, they're actually buffing your XP gains because they feel like they dish out XP more slowly, so they increase them there, but then they pull the lever back on the other stuff which you could farm really fast.
That could just be clever wording in terms of we're gonna slow down your XP in certain areas, and then we're gonna bring it back to normal in other areas. Oh, but we're buffing it in those areas because it's normal. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. There's absolutely two ways to take this news, right? And there's going to be two types of people in the comment section. One way to take it is to say, oh my god, Bungie fucking lied to us. Terrible, shameless Activision. They're trying to scam us into buying more loot boxes. Absolutely. And that's absolutely a valid perspective, by the way, because this wording here does not indicate that that wasn't in fact the case. And they were looking to pull back your XP gains so that you'd spend more money on cosmetic loot boxes, right? Yeah. The other way to read this news is to say, well, they had a system in place to dole out and manage XP gains.
Yes.
They dialed it up some places, they dialed it down in others, and as a result, it sort of was doing what it was meant to be doing, but they didn't really intend it to be about you buying more cosmetic loot boxes. It was just about smoothing out XP gains across the game.
Yeah, and look, other games have had that issue, like World of Warcraft, for instance. You could just do the same raid over and over, or you could go to certain areas and then just get as much money out of that particular area as possible, because per hour you're actually going to be making the most amount of gold or the most amount of XP out of certain areas. So I
They
think
didn't throttle them back in the WoW
that's what I'm
days.
saying.
Yeah.
So I think what they were potentially looking at, as previous titles had issues where certain people could just go to certain areas every day and actually get a lot further in that game compared to other people that were actually exploring the areas.
Sure.
So maybe that's what they were doing. So when I look at this, though, I don't actually think this is necessarily evil. When we were speaking about it yesterday, I was for sure thinking it's all about the loot box. But maybe they were just really wanting to put something in place to make sure that people weren't just being in certain areas or doing only certain activities to make sure that they could maximize the XP out of the game.
True.
So, you know what I'm saying? So from this news, the more I've learnt about it, the more I think, you know what, it doesn't have to be about the loot boxes, but I'm definitely not ruling that out. I think what's important to see is at the bottom of the comment it says, as a result, players will see XP earn rates change for all activities across the board, but with all values being displayed consistently in the user interface. Now, at first glance, that can easily look like they're going to, make sure it's the same XP across the board. But in reality, they're not saying that it's going to be the same XP across the board. They're just merely saying that the XP value per hour or something is going to be displayed.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because what they didn't say here was you can now expect to earn more XP from grinding public events, which is the logical thing to say if the intent was to say, well, we're taking off that throttle, you're now going to be able to get more XP from doing those, go and have a blast, go and earn more, bright engrams. They didn't say that in this, so what I suspect they're probably doing is they're probably leveling out the XP gains across the board, so that you're actually going to be earning the same amount of XP as you otherwise were, but there's no throttling mechanism in place now. How they're going to do that, I don't exactly know, but yeah, I think that if it was the case that you were going to be able to earn more XP here and get more stuff, that Bungie would have said, hey, have more stuff. They want to be able to put it up in lights as a good news story.
Yes.
Whereas they didn't say that, and for me, that sort of suggests that they're going to be doing some other work to XP to level it out, and we can really expect the same rewards that we're getting now.
You feel you've been rehabilitated?
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. I learned my lesson. I can honestly say that I'm a changed man.
But I guess this is the real challenge with this sort of stuff and the sort of corrosive impact of monetization and loot boxes on video games, right? In the old days, if this was Final Fantasy VII, we just look at this situation and we'd be like, God damn it, Square, you guys have completely got your XP curve wrong. Just fix it up, the game is too grindy. But now we have to think, well, the game is too grindy because you want money. Or do you? We don't know. So we have these big discussions about whether or not everything designers do is about extracting more money from us. And that's an unfortunate place to be. It would be nice just to be able to say, well, they stuffed it up. They admitted they stuffed it up. They're going to fix it.
Yeah.
And instead it becomes this commercial discussion about, time invested versus money spent. And it's unfortunate,
I completely agree with what you're saying, but I would have to say that it's not so much about, the monetization structure at the moment. I think it's in the wording. Like, if the wording was really direct, we wouldn't have to have that discussion.
I agree. That's true.
But it further complicates it with the above line. It says, effective immediately, we are deactivating this system. So again, like, is it deactivated? What's now put in place? It's not really clear.
For sure.
It's not really clear, because if they said effective immediately, we are deactivating this system and replacing it with across the board the same XP regardless of where you are in the Destiny world, that's all you need to say. And that's it. You're like, okay, cool. I understand exactly what they're doing now, how they're going to go forward.
So look, I think what's going to happen is that there was definitely going to be some follow-up on this. There'll be some additional testing from people on Reddit, and they will determine whether or not it actually is way faster to earn XP from those activities, or if they've done some other funky back-end work with XP gains and it's just the same as it is now. We don't know, but we'll keep you posted.
We will see, guys.
It's going to be an interesting discussion.
We will. See you later, fam.
Bye.
And I would have made millions if it hadn't been for you meddling kids.